we have 4 simple rules. Number 1, we don't discuss politics, ever. Number 2, this is not a religious channel, and while you might hear people say, God bless you, or I'm going to pray for you, or I wouldn't have gotten through this without my faith, that's fine. What's not fine is to say, my God is better than your God, or here's why you're not getting into heaven. It's not going to fly. Number 3, we believe wholeheartedly if you can't control your tongue, then you can't control your life. So while on board, there's not going to be any cursing in the live chat, period. And number 4, there is no room for mean people on the lifeboat. Because we discuss very sensitive things from people's past in our group setting, we got to protect those people. The only way they feel confident and comfortable discussing those things is in an environment that is free of trolls and mean people. So if you're a mean person or you're a troll, we're going to block you for life. And if your account happens to be less than 24 hours old, we're probably a little suspicious right from the word go. Why? Well, because there are people in this world who enjoy being cruel solely for the sake of being cruel. It's not going to fly here. But if you're here because you're trying to get sober and live your best life, then you might find that the lifeboat is just that, a lifeboat. I'm Captain Tommy Scoville, and we will see you on deck. Hey, good evening, everybody. I'm Captain Tommy Scoville, and on the other side of the glass is my partner, Captain Mark Wages. We're happy you're here. So, before we get rolling, story time. Got a couple of good ones for you. First off, the cat is not in the basket. There's a chance that she will be before the end of the show, but the cat got its first mouse today. And before you get, before the mouse lovers and get really upset at me. I mean, this is a cat. She kind of went out and did this. This is what cats do. But I don't want them chewing up watch parts and bands and everything else because it was out in the garage. But now that now she just stares at that door. So I don't know that we'll get her back in the basket for at least a day. So there's the squirrel update. I was telling my partner before we got rolling, I was working on a watch today and I pumped the back off of it. And then you go in and you do the repair or whatever needs to be done, and you pop the back on, and it's ready to sell. That's usually how it goes down. I did the repair. That wasn't the problem. The problem was finding the back of the watch. And I mean, suffice to say that I have more than one laying around, right? There's hundreds, but this one is unique because it's small. And I'm not going to say that I was calm because I wasn't, but I was a lot better than I have been. I really, so I'm making efforts, people. I really am. Today was one of those days, though, man. Today was one of those days.
Well,
very challenging.
Let me say this to you real quick, man. You will definitely you're getting better at it. I see it, and it'll also get easier, man. I promise. It really will.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to those days. I also need to, I'm forgetful. It's part of what's goes on with me. So I need to get better systems in place. There's some things I got to do that, and I kind of realized that and should have been doing it a long time ago, and I haven't. So that kind of ends up on me. Oddly enough, too, squirrel didn't eat the mouse. When I was growing up, our cats used to go out and do that, but they always ate them. Squirrel just sort of gummed this thing up a little bit and laid it right over by where I work, which was awfully kind of her. But yeah. Tommy Bird says, "Me too, Captain. Making an effort. That is, you know what? It's the best we can hope for, right? Is to make an effort. That really is the best that we can hope for. So, yeah, I'm proud of you. And we've had a couple of really good shows in a row.
Yep.
1 second.
Sure. Yeah. That's definitely a 100%. We have. That's
Yeah, we've and the feedback from them has been really good.
Yep. Except for the ones I was extremely annoying in. I had to.
Was it annoying?
I think that's what it was. I think that's what it was. But anyway,
I can't remember exactly what the wording was. Here's the deal. I would prefer if people, you got an opinion. It's all good. It really is. You can have any opinion you want, and
I'm going to have nights where I really suck. And I think you should probably be able to say that. Not one of your better nights, Cap, or, I don't,
Yeah, yeah,
I have pretty thick skin. So does Mark. But, if you got a little constructive criticism or whatever, maybe it might be better if you fired it off in an email. And the reason is that this is a pretty loyal crew, and a lot of them carry wrenches. You're just lucky you weren't in the same room with them, because they would have actually hit you with a wrench. And Mark and I had a good laugh about it when the thing ended. So,
yep.
Again, we have pretty thick skin, but yeah, I do want everybody to be able to sort of speak their minds.
Yeah,
But it might be good, and most of you do. I get really ugly emails from a lot of you about one thing or another, so they do come in. And I have one announcement, and then we're going to get to the actual meat of this, I promise. But I'm going to be doing a bit of an experiment on the lifeboat, and so I figured I may as well let everybody in on it, because I think this is one of those things that ought to make for really good YouTube, if nothing else. I'm going to stop taking Suboxone. I don't mean I'm going to stop taking it today, right? But I have talked to people multiple times about what it takes to get off of Suboxone, and I get emails from people every day that goes, "Man, it's real easy to say that stuff." All right, here's the deal. I'm going to do it. I'm going to tell you exactly how I did it. And today, I actually took more than what I usually take. I usually take 8 milligrams. Today, I did 8, and then I took a 4. And the reason for that is this. I'm going to start taking it right around this time. I cannot show you doing it. They get really dicey if you take any kind of drugs on the air. Even if they're prescribed, they just don't like that. But right before I go live, I will say to you, here's what we're doing. This is so starting tomorrow, I will be back on 8 rather. And then we will start the, going down from there. Now, you have my word that if I'm off this and I start feeling squirrely, or I get that urge, I'm not going to risk my sobriety. I will get back on it instantly. But the kicking part, this is something that I think would be beneficial, and we'll show you how to do it correctly. All right. And go from there. So why do we fail? All right. Kind of a fun subject. And this a lot of this stuff is not unique just to drugs. A lot of this is stuff that's across the board, right? But it's certainly stuff that really, really affects those of us who are trying to stay sober. Right? It's pretty big deal, all of these. So Brandon Taylor, I love this boat too. I'm glad you're here, bud. Brandon's back. He's been spending some time with the family, so we're glad you're here, man.
Yep. 100.
My ex-wife and I went to New Orleans. We spent the New Year's there. And if you've never been there, I recommend it. But it's one of those kind of historical towns, right? There's tons of history in New Orleans. There's really amazing food, and they got the French Quarter, and they got Bourbon Street and all of these things. And you want to catch all of them, right? I've been there a lot. She had not. So she started to look at some of the restaurants that we wanted to go to. And there's Emeril Lagasse, the guy that goes bam, right? He's got a restaurant down there that's incredible. And there's one that's literally hundreds of years old. They have been serving a brunch there every single Saturday and Sunday going back to before we were a country, right? It's called the Court of the Two Sisters. However, you just can't show up. Same with Emeril Lagasse's restaurant, which is called Delmonico's. You just can't walk to the door and go, "Hey, we'll take a table for 2," because every single person that goes to New Orleans wants an opportunity to go to these places. They also want to hit the French Quarter, right? They want to go to the graveyards because they're really kind of bizarre, and they end up in a lot of movies. It's a very unique place. The reason I bring this up is this. She put about 30 hours into the process of getting ready for this vacation, right? All of the reservations were done. We knew exactly where we were going. We didn't want to rent a car because it's kind of pointless in New Orleans. However, we were going to have to get from the airport to the hotel we were staying at. And it's not something we wanted to stress out about or try to get. So we had arranged, ground transportation, all of this. It was really well done. About 30 hours. I'm not exaggerating. After we got back from that vacation, I had this sort of coming to God talk with her. We talked about my addiction. Hey, squirrel. Talked about the fact that I was still addicted to drugs and came clean and said, I'm really going to try to quit this. And then I proceeded to spend about 7 minutes preparing for my sobriety, right? For real. I spent about 7 minutes to get all of my plans in a row to do the most important thing that I was ever going to try to tackle during our marriage. The fact that I didn't tackle that, we're no longer married, which is absolutely, my fault on that. The things that she did after that is another story. We could do a whole show on that, but definitely my fault. So the point is this: there really is not much that you're going to be doing in the near future if you're addicted to any kind of substance. The most important thing you could possibly do is get clean. But you will spend more time preparing to go on a
Tommy,
fishing trip.
I'm sorry, man. I don't mean to interrupt you here, man.
Yeah.
Sharon asked. I didn't see the question until just now. I think she thought we were ignoring her. Says, how does a person leave the bottle of Oxy alone? And I know that's a huge question, but
Oh, good Lord, yeah. So here's the deal on that. If the bottle of Oxy, if you mean literally, like you got one in the house, get it the hell out of the house, because you will not be able to leave a bottle of Oxy.
Yep.
You can take people that are 25 years sober. My bobble-headed partner had some pretty serious problems last year, and it required a little bit of medication. And the only way that worked is he handed it to his wife, who locked it up. Right? He had no idea where the stuff was, and that, for peace of mind, it can't be any other way.
Yep.
Like when I go into a person's house and I'm on vacation, I'll tell them before I get there. I'm not even kidding you. Look, you got dope, get it out of the medicine chest. Don't leave anything around that I'm going to see, because I'm never going to be that strong. So if you mean like, how do you quit Oxy? Well, that's kind of a different subject. And if you drop me an email, I'll spend a ton of time talking to you about that. We can really break down what the plan is. But if you have a bottle in the house, get it the hell out of the house, right? Get it out of the house. And it shouldn't be too difficult. You can drop it off at a police station, right? You can drop it off at a firehouse. Any of those places all take medications. Don't flush them down the toilet. It's actually doing some real serious damage to the water tables, and it's poisoning fish and all kinds of other bad stuff. Got some wasted fish all over the U.S. because of the amount of drugs that we flush down toilets.
Yep, I agree with that.
But so, and this actually almost fits into what we're talking about, right? If you're trying to get sober, most people will spend more time planning the most mundane crap in the world. Heather says, Tommy, my addiction destroyed my first marriage. Oh, I destroyed a few of them. And a couple of fiancés and a bunch of girlfriends. It was, I destroyed everything I touched for 3 decades. It was just one of those things. But plan for your sobriety. Sit down and come up with a plan. Nothing is more important, but you will plan for the dumbest stuff in the entire world. You'll spend more time planning, buying an appliance for your house, right? Seriously, take an hour or two, get online, look stuff up. Call a couple of places in town to see if they have them. Is it going to be cheaper to buy online, or can we pick this thing up? How is it going to get here? And then we just go, I'm going to quit right now. That's it. I'm going to quit. And that's all you put in. That's how much thought you put into it, everything else. And the first time the ship hits the sand, you implode. We go running right back to the bottle, or we go running back to our substance of choice. And it makes absolute sense. If you think about it, the stress that we are put under when we say we're going to quit, stress is what we don't do as addicts. Plain and simple, we don't do stress, right? We don't feel comfortable in our own skin. You want to make that feel worse? Stress me out. Give me a little bit of stress, and I will absolutely run and grab whatever the drug of choice is. And I did this for decades. Then you get to a point where you say, you know what? I really want to get sober. And if you meet the right person, they're going to go, cool, let's sit down and come up with a sobriety plan. Huh? We're going to do what? Yeah, we're going to sit down and come up with a sobriety plan. If I blow an O-ring, I absolutely blow an O-ring, there are people that I contact to sort of talk me down off of the ledge, right? There's a woman in Australia that I contact first. Right? You all know Linda. And if I cannot get a hold of her, I go to Johnny. Those are usually the first two. And then if not, I wake up Mark.
Yep.
But if Mark's not there, I got the first 5 worked out. If I'm really stressing, I know the first 5 people I'm going to call, and they're the same every single freaking time. Why? Because it has to be. You don't want to start freaking out and go, what do I do now? No, you know what? I'm having a bad time. Here we go. That's it, right? Pick up the phone, get in touch with that person. You better have a plan. You better have a plan. You want another great idea for your plan? Look at the things that drive you nuts. Honestly, what drives you back to drink? And you know all of the acronyms and you know all of the cliches, right? HALT. You know that one? Hungry, angry, lonely, or tired, right?
Yep.
I throw guilt in on that because I think guilt is probably the biggest. But hungry, angry, lonely, or tired. You know how easy it is to make sure none of those come into your life? Plan for it. Plan for it. If you know you're going to be alone for an entire weekend, don't do it.
Yeah.
Seriously, you're 3 weeks sober and you're going to spend an entire weekend alone, probably will not get through it. Plan something else. Get the hell out of your house. Spend time with people. You don't have wheels, you can't get out of your house. Say, I'm going to call this person. I'm going to talk to him for a couple of hours. And then I'm going to call this person. Then I'm going to get on the lifeboat. And you just plan out your time.
You said something.
Lady
important
Crispin,
there
I was
real quick.
just talking about you. What's that?
You said something really, really important I want to emphasize, and that
Sure.
is the fact that when we're contacting people, don't just send a text and then wait. Call if you need
Yeah.
to. You need to hear somebody's voice. You don't need to read it. You want to read, we can go to a book. And that's kind of what, we need to, if you're feeling that way, you need to have somebody there that can immediately respond. And because it can be it's a second by second decision when you're put in that spot. And that's just my opinion.
No, you're absolutely right. And, when I said hungry, angry, lonely, or tired, I'm trying to remember who it was, but somebody said bored too. And you're absolutely right. Bored is another one of those things so don't allow it. Don't allow it. And here's the thing. The part of your brain that is trying to help you get sober will never say to you, hey, you know what? You're hungry. And that's why we can't quit thinking about dope. It's because you're hungry. So your body's not quite right. So what you need to do is go eat. It's never going to happen. Not once. It's never going to happen. That will never occur to you. Boy, I probably just need to eat. Right? Or I got 2 hours of sleep last night. Today is hell. Right? So if you're going to have a sobriety plan, I'd start eating 3 meals a day. Right? Start eating 3 meals a day. If you go, yeah, I just don't do that. Okay, you need to. Right? If breakfast is 3 scoops of peanut butter, get a little protein into your body. Doesn't really matter what it is, but get into the habit of eating 3 times a day at a minimum. Why? Because if you're not freaking hungry, there's one we just knocked off the list. One of the things that literally keeps people on edge the entire time they're trying to get sober, right, is hungry. So as far as angry goes, getting pissed is not such a bad thing. Staying pissed is a bad thing. You understand? Anger is a very normal emotion. If somebody says something about my family, I get upset, right? Makes me angry. If 3 weeks later, I'm still focused on it, it's threatening my sobriety. So how do you make sure that something that makes you angry doesn't become obsessive kind of angry, the kind that throws you off the tracks? I bet you know the answer to this. If you've spent any time on this boat, you know the answer to this. The way you make sure that doesn't happen is you bottle it up inside, right? Don't let anybody know how angry you are. Keep that in there, and that should really help out. Oh, no, the truth of the matter is you better tell somebody about it fast. And you say, I don't want to talk to people. Have that 5 ready. If I'm really angry, if I'm absolutely, ripped about something, guess who I'm going to get a hold of? Same 5. I'm going to start in Australia. I'm going to work my way around the globe, and I'm going to let all of them know. Lady Crispin could tell you exactly what was freaking me out today. I don't think she was on the boat when I said it, but she could tell you what was happening because I reached out to her. And sometimes all you got to do is say it out loud, right? I mean, very often the person on the other end of the phone doesn't have to say a damn word. Just have to sit there. I couldn't find the back of this watch. 2 hours tearing this house apart to find the back of this watch. And then I got to basically build it back. for the watch. Absolutely drove me nuts. Well, bottling that in would have killed me. Chad Crawford says, hello, I'm not struggling with alcohol or drugs, but really had a problem with mental illness. I'm able to stay sober. Thank God. Thank God is right. Thank God is right. And I believe wholeheartedly that everybody here has a problem with mental illness. I'm of the firm belief drug addiction is a mental illness, right?
Yep.
It is a disease. It's a disease of the mind. So if you're doing well with that, that's awesome. It really is. And we're glad you're here. We're absolutely glad you're here, because all of this stuff, really very little that we talk about can't be applied to the real world. It's just that we don't live in the real world, right? Normal people do. And we are a far, far cry from normal. Okay, here we go. Let's get back there. I got rid of the chat for a second. Kind of freaked me out. Yeah, so you go down the list of 5 people. Hungry, angry. Get both of those off the list, right? Lonely, don't do it. Don't do it.
Right.
There's a reason why when people first get sober, especially back in the old days, guys would go to meetings, empty ashtrays, right? And make pots of coffee. And they would stay there 10 hours. I'm not kidding you. Like, I remember a time in my life where I was really trying to get the meeting thing going. Didn't work for me, but I tried. And I didn't stay 10 hours. No, don't get me wrong. But there were times I went twice in a day. And there was the same dude there every time I went. And I remember walking up and going, wow, you and I are on the same schedule. He's like, what do you mean? I said, every time I come here, you're here. He's like, I don't leave. I don't leave. He's like, I'm staying here all day long. I said, what about working? He said, no, man, until I can get sober, I'm not even worried about that. I'm not even worried about that. You know what? It's probably a good thing.
Yeah.
Right? Although one of the nice things about work, aside from the fact that you make money, which is a pretty big deal, you're not going to be bored, right? You're not going to be lonely. Chances are when everybody there eats a lunch, you're probably going to, so you don't feel like a weirdo, right? There is something to be said for not having idle hands. Job ain't bad. And if you got to take a job that isn't really in your wheelhouse, imagine getting out of prison and having your probation officer say, you can't go back and do any of the work you did before you went in. I'm not going to let you do any of those things. Huh? Right? So anything that I got good at my entire life, I can't go do. So suffice to say, I wasn't really getting a job I wanted. However, I needed a job. I needed to stay busy. It was something that had to happen.
Yep.
Thanks for doing these, man. I found you through your brother, and I can't believe how much watching your videos has helped me. What a cool thing to say, man.
Awesome.
Really glad that you're here.
Yep.
That was check 4V. All right. Glad you're here. Glad you're here. Yep. So, hungry, angry, lonely, and tired, right? Now, guilt. Guilt is a tough one, right? It really is. The things that happen to us when we're using, we struggle with the guilt from that. Something that really plagues people. It's going to come as a shock to you. But you know how you make sure that stuff doesn't happen? Once again, bottle that crap up inside. Don't tell anybody about it. Focus on it when nothing's going on. Call up the people that you care about who aren't going to judge you, right? Because they're all in recovery. You call them up and say, you know what? For the last 2 hours, all I have been able to think about was the time I stole money from so-and-so. It's absolutely killing me. That's all I can think about, and I don't even know where dude is anymore. You will be shocked how telling someone what you did will alleviate that feeling. Just like calling the person and going through that whole thing and saying sorry, you're going to get the exact same effect. You think I'm kidding? Try it. Because I have done the amends thing to so many people, and there's people I can't make amends to. There's people who are dead, right? A great number of them, because an occupational hazard of the things that I did, most of them end up dead or they end up incarcerated. So very often it's hard to reach out and say sorry. But if I talk to Mark about it, or if I talk to anybody else about it, I get the exact same result. Why? Because bottling stuff up will kill you, right? You want to stay sober? Don't bottle anything up. If you got an emotion that starts coming in, hold on, this is important.
Yeah, I agree.
This is important.
Yeah.
Church pastor yesterday told me mental illness and addiction doesn't exist. It's only a lack of faith. You know what? God bless him, right? He's ignorant.
Yep.
He's ignorant. And it's a crying shame, because very often people want to they have the best of intent. They really do. They have the best of intent. And I believe wholeheartedly that, like for me, God is a huge part of my recovery, but I have a mental illness and a drug addiction. Make no mistake. It's the same kind of thing of, you come across people who get a very serious illness. Pick one, right? Cancer, whatever and they say, I'm not going to do radiation therapy, or I'm not going to do chemo because I'm just going to pray this stuff out, right? Because I trust in God. What do you think God uses to cure people of cancer?
Yep.
Right? Radiation and and chemotherapy.
What
God allowed those to be created.
What do I
so
say?
that kind of mindset literally can kill people.
Yeah.
And it's a shame that that's where his head is. It really is.
No.
But just know he's wrong.
Exactly. I got something to say here too, because that is just somebody that's in a position of helping people is completely just like off base, complete. I just don't get how somebody can do that. And I would also say this: sometimes the hands of God are at the end of your own two arms. You got to go do he's putting that in front of you. We've all heard the jokes, Oh, well, I sent you all this stuff. Why didn't you use it? That's what God tells you. I mean, he's putting it there for you. You got to look at it. You got to see it. And, but for somebody to say that to you is just, wow. Man.
Well, in the very near future, and I mean soon, we're going to have business cards that say the lifeboat on them. Gives you these people the opportunity, so you can just hand that out. When you get one, please hand it to your pastor, because I'd love to talk to him, because he and I are probably in agreement on a whole lot of stuff.
Yep.
Right. But not that one. Not that one at all. So keeping stuff bottled inside, right? The number one thing that's going to destroy you, especially in the beginning, is anything that starts to fester in your mind is going to drive you back to what? We don't put up with anything that makes us uncomfortable. It is the defining characteristic of drug addicts. If I'm uncomfortable, I don't have to deal with that. Thank God, right? I just go do a shot, or I can go drink this, or I can go do that. And for us, that is absolutely the key to everything, right? All I got to do is go do this. It's going to destroy you. So when you're making your sobriety plan, call the people that are going to be on that list. Call the 5 and say to them, hey, I can call you for anything, right? Doesn't really matter what, if I just start focusing on something and I can't seem to get it out of my head and I can't seem to move off of the subject, you care if I call you? If they say, yeah, I'd rather you don't, get them off the list, right? Let's get somebody else in there. But don't allow anything to fester. Keep really short accounts. You get mad at somebody, tell them you're mad at them, right? I mean, you can do it nicely, but just tell them, you know what, I'm unhappy with you.
Oh, sorry about that.
Work it out. Make sure that you don't allow something to sit and fester, right? And I don't care what it is. It's irrelevant what it is. You just cannot let anything fester and begin to drive you crazy, right? This is, in my humble opinion, one of the reasons that addicts fail more than anything else is because they do not plan for any inevitability when you need to plan for every inevitability. What are you going to do the first time you go to a party, right? You go to a dinner and somebody whips out drugs. If you don't plan for that to happen, when it does, you're screwed, because you're going to be in a tailspin. You're not going to know what to do. Have a plan, right? And you don't have to make a scene. You don't have to do anything. You can very easily walk up and go, you know what, brother? Love you. I can't be here. Give you a call in a couple of days. I don't, no offense to you. I love you, but I don't hang out when people are getting high. I'm in recovery and I can't look at it. So you guys have a good time. Talk to you sometime next week. Get in your car and leave. Then call one of the people on that list. Man, I just went to a party and people pulled out Coke. It was driving me crazy. Did you leave? Yeah, good. Talk to them for a little while. Watch the good things that happen. Seriously. What's the opposite of addiction? Connection. So if you start floundering, what do you think you need? Connection, right?
Yep.
Okay. That really takes care of a massive chunk of what gets us off the rails. And that's the proactive side. That's the stuff where you have planned for the people that you're going to call. You planned for what you're going to do in any kind of situation. You know what's going to happen, right? Now, there are going to be people who absolutely will drag you down. Maybe not intentionally, right? And I don't mean, guys that say, come on, dude, let's go get high. Well, that's pretty obvious, right? That person's going to drag you down. That's not what I'm talking about. Because if you have a plan, you're not going to be near those people, right? That would be part of the plan, right? I'm not going to this part of town. I'm not going to that part of town. If you have a drinking problem, don't go play darts at a bar, right? These are common sense things.
Yep.
Okay, I'm talking about different stuff. I'm talking about people who create drama, right? And just being around them, you know who I'm talking about, right? Everybody knows a soul sucker. Just one of those like psychic vampires that every single time you're near, they just cause problems, right? And they make you feel uncomfortable. Well, I got something that's going to change that for you. Okay, for real. One of the best things about getting sober is that for a period of time, until the sobriety thing really takes root, right? Until you get to a point where you are really comfortable in your sobriety, what you have to do, and make no mistake, this is exactly what you have to do. You have to make yourself the center of your own universe without any apology. You hear me? You are the center of your universe. You and your sobriety are the most important thing in the entire world. If there is somebody in that sphere that bothers you, get rid of them. I don't care if they're related to you. Get rid of them. The time is going to come where you are solid as hell and you feel really good about your recovery. And you can sit down and say to that person, I'm really sorry I wasn't hanging out with you. I needed to put some tools together, right? So that I can deal. Because every once in a while, you drive me insane. And it's one of those things that would have, pushed me off the rails. More than likely, the person you say that to is going to know that they drive you insane. It's a rare thing that, you feel that way and they're not aware, because it tends to grind on you, right? There tends to be that tension. People, if there's tension going on in your life and you're early in sobriety, get rid of it. Get rid of it, right? You cannot roll the dice on that. The most important thing throughout all sobriety, especially in the beginning, is to realize the importance of your mission, right? For many reasons, not just the fact that, all right, this stuff can kill you, right? That's huge, right? You're not living your best life. All of those things are huge. The best thing is that when you get sober, the next thing that happens is you start to look at things in a much different way, because there was a mountain that you had to climb that you did, right? You got to a point where you go, man, I did that. Okay. Next comes relationships. Next comes business. Next comes anything that you want to set your mind to. Truthfully, there is a reason that even the famous and the successful will list always as the thing they are most proud of accomplishing beating drugs or alcohol. Every time, without fail. Why? Because it's a very difficult thing to do. Again, because most people don't plan, and because if you think about the insidious nature of our disease, anything that stresses you out sends you back to the only coping mechanism you have. So by quitting drugs, everything is going to stress you out, right? Quitting drugs means you don't have a coping mechanism anymore. Yeah. Getting sober means you have to build and design a coping mechanism, because not one of us has one. Plain and simple. So when I come on here and I say, I got to tell you a story. So today I lost the back of a watch. Spent 2 hours looking for it. Literally gritting my teeth through the entire thing. Do you know why I'm doing that? I'm not doing that so that I seem like one of us. I'm doing that because the other option is holding it in. The other option is allowing what happened to me today to affect tomorrow, right? And I'll tell you something else. At the end of today, what do you think is going to happen? I'm going to reflect on this day, right? I'm not just going to jump into the sack, go to sleep. No, I'm going to get rid of the baggage of today. I'm going to sit down and say, what did I do right? And what did I do really friggin' wrong? Okay, well, I know what I did wrong. And then the next question should be, if you got anything on the ball, how could I have done this differently? Well, from this point on, when the back comes off a watch, I'm taping it to the table. I'm not kidding. This is my new design, because this is not the first time this has happened to me. So I didn't learn, right? But the first time you blow it off and you go, yeah, I'm not going to make that mistake again. No, you're going to get it. You're going to write, Rolex, Submariner, right? Back, tape it, stick it on the desk, right by the workbench where I'm working. So that's never going to be something that I have to tangle it with again. That's the way you're going to get through things in your life. But if something really grinds your gears and you go to bed without thinking about it, the best way to do it is, right? Write that crap down.
Journal that stuff.
Write that down.
Exactly.
Because I promise you, something bizarre happens. And we've talked about this so many times, but something really bizarre happens when you shift stuff from the frontal lobe to the desk, right? When that stuff goes down the arm into the hand and you write that stuff out, something unique happens. There's a reason that virtually everybody on the planet successful writes down their goals, writes down the problems, writes down how they're getting better at things, writes down how they're getting worse at things. They're taking notes throughout every single part of their life. Why? Okay. I would imagine most of us spent a little time in school, right? Some may have gone on to college, right? Some may have done post-grad stuff. But regardless of what schooling you have, there was a time when the teacher would say, what you need to do is take notes because there's going to be a test on this on Friday. So you would take out a book, right? And you would start writing. And you would write down everything that this person was talking about that you thought was important. Why? Because if not, you were going to fail, correct? Why would you not do that in your own life? Why would you not take notes on the things that worked? Why would you not take notes on the things that didn't, right? Eliminate the crap that is driving you nuts. Get it out of there, right? Get it out of there. And have a piece of paper with a list of all of the people. Oh, hold on. Cindy Pardee. How cool is this?
That's cool.
Cindy Pardee, welcome to the boat. Cindy says, I am 16 days sober. I had to block my sister because she is toxic to my sobriety. Thanks for bringing it up. Well, you know what? Oh, man. We used to have the trophy. Where the hell did I put it? If I had it, it would be coming up for you, Cindy, because what you did has increased your chances of success massively. And if she's toxic, it's a really good chance she's not going to be on your list of 5 people, right? But I hope you have people that you can call if by some chance that toxic phone call gets into you, or anything else, any of those things that are going to drive you in the wrong direction. It's really pretty simple stuff, right? You're either getting stronger or you're on your way to getting high. And it might take a month, it might take 2 months, it might take an hour and a half, but you're on your way to getting high or you're on your way to getting right.
Yep.
So which direction are you going in? Write it down. Keep notes. Hats off to you. Truthfully. Great stuff, Cindy. And I love it when someone's name is Cindy, because I screw up the gender thing on every single time I have a chance. If it's just a name, right? It's like,
I love it.
It says Tuesday morning or whatever. I'll go, thanks, dude. And I'll get a,
yeah.
No. I'm a lady. I always screw that up. But with Cindy, I think I'm pretty safe. Cindy, we're glad you're here. Truthfully. Welcome to the Lifeboat. And people, if you think to yourself, I can't think of 5 people. I can't think of 4 people that I would call. Look around, right? You're in the right spot to find 4 people that you can call, right? There's 3,330 of us, I believe, today, right?
Yeah.
Every one of them would be happy to take your call. Why? Because something happens when you are the call. I hope you understand that. Why do we pick people who are in recovery? Because us calling them makes them stronger. Make no mistake. Be somebody's 5. Be in somebody's 5. You want to rock solid your recovery? There is a reason that the last step in every one of those programs is having had a spiritual awakening, right? Spiritual awakening, for real, whether you believe in a God or not. Spiritual awakening. If you don't think sobriety is a spiritual awakening, then you're just not thinking. This is life-changing, sun coming through the clouds doing the thing. For real. So having had a life-changing, you really feel the need to bring it to other people. You feel the need to help others. When somebody calls me and says, hey, man, I'm really struggling, when I hang up the phone from that person, I'm always better off. And there are times that when someone calls and says, hey, I really need help, I need it too, right? Massively. I'll be right in the middle of doing something that's driving me nuts, thinking to myself, I should probably be reaching out to somebody. But being the captain of the boat, there's a really good chance that somebody is going to be reaching out and asking. Hold on one second. I have definitely been giving my journals a lot more attention lately. I have two, one for my personal rants and feelings, and another for important beliefs and lessons to leave behind for others. I love that. I absolutely love that. I really do. And it's so fantastic when you have the ability to double back on this stuff, right? When you can go back and look and see where you're falling down or where you're excelling. I haven't heard a really bad dad joke all day. The seventh not in the
he's not here.
The seventh not here.
Nah, Blue.
It just occurred to me that
Blue's
I haven't
here.
heard a dad joke.
Blue Dazzle, you know where he's at. Give us a little heads up. Make sure he's okay.
I'll reach out to him tonight too.
Okay.
Hermit Hill says, just saying hello before I go into the house and probably lose service. I love you all bunches. Well, I hope the service remains, but if not, thank you so much for telling us. Anyone on Facebook Messenger that I can talk to? Everybody here is on Facebook Messenger. And if you are a member of the Lifeboat, I mean, over on Facebook, if you put up a post that says, I really need to talk to somebody, no chance in hell somebody doesn't reach out to you.
Right.
For real. There's a reason that we suggest that you go over there. We all need the captain's wheel of sobriety with that captain's hat. Tell me, you know what? The hat helps. I'm not going to lie to you. Every once in a while, I just put it on during the day. You know, be working on a watch. I need the hat.
Yep.
No, I don't. But no, it does help. There's something to be said. You know, whenever he's driving, he went to visit a family member in the hospital. Okay, good. Just wanted to make sure that he's all right.
He's all right.
Heather Hatch says you can talk to me on Facebook Messenger. There you go, right? There you go. Boom. This is
that's what we do.
leaning on one another, right?
Yep.
So there are a bunch of people listening to me right now who believe in a higher power, right? Prayer is an amazing thing, right? If you don't believe it, just stick with me for a minute if you're not somebody that believes in God, because I'm going to talk to you in a second. But if you're somebody that believes in God, prayer is an amazing thing. Very often, it's going to bring you peace that nothing else can. And talking to someone else who's a believer and saying, hey, can you pray for me? Does amazing things. And I'm not doing this as a let me thump, my religion on you. Go ahead and look it up. Do a little research. The power of prayer has been documented. Now, it doesn't necessarily prove anything. There are scientists who say, well, we believe it's because, right, that many people focusing on something and you believe that it's going to help you. So there's the placebo effect that actually works. That's not what I believe, but it's documentable. In fact, every time they've ever done any kind of test to see if prayer helps, it always does. Always. So if you're somebody that prays, don't be shy to call people and say, hey, man, I'm really struggling. Can you pray for me? Really a good idea. Now, for those people here that don't believe in God, it's not mad at you. However, in the 12-step programs, they really beat the God thing home, right? So there's a lot of people that aren't really cool with that. And the ignorant stuff that you hear, like you can make a doorknob your higher power. Man, if you're making your doorknob your higher power, go ahead and get high because you're not going to last. It's a complete and utter waste of time.
Yep.
Doorknobs don't help you from buying bags at 3 a.m, right? Doorknobs don't help you when you're in the liquor store or you're at a store looking at booze. Not a doorknob. So what is a power greater than yourself? 2 people are greater than 1. 3 people are greater than 2. 3,300, right, are plenty great. So if you don't believe in a higher power, you can make the boat and all of the people on it your higher power. Reach out to somebody else when you are hurting. If you think you're going to go this alone, you're not going to make it. Plain and simple. You're not.
Yep.
How do I know that? Because prior to 12-step programs, which was addicts helping addicts, nobody got sober. It just didn't happen, right? Even the medical community said, sorry, it's just not possible. Once you get that bug, it's just going to kill you. Don't let him drive. Like, that really was the advice. Don't let him drive, and for God's sakes, don't give him a gun, but he's going to drink himself to death. There's not much you can do about it. And then a couple of addicts figured out that, you know something? If we lean on one another, and obviously the reason that it works when we lean on each other is I don't have to explain to you that I really want to get high. Okay? You talk to anybody outside of a recovery community, right? If you talk to anybody outside of that arena, then when you say, hey, I'm really feeling like getting high, well, you should just quit, right? Why did you start up last time? You were sober. Why would you ever go back? Okay. It's pointless talking to those people. It's pointless.
Yeah.
For real. I would not go, if somebody said, I can explain to you how to repair a watch, and I get there and they start speaking in Spanish, I'm going to walk out, right? Because there's not going to be any communication. The two of us are speaking two different languages, right? You're not going to find anybody that has not been addicted who speaks your language. They're not going to understand what you're talking about. They're not going to understand what you're going through, and you're wasting your time. The power of prayer, I really believe, made my court case go away. I was amazed and impressed, although I've seen bigger miracles as well. You know what? That was a pretty cool damn day. If you're new to the boat, that was really a cool day. We were all really stressed out about it. We were talking about taking our boy away, and
Yep.
the absolute best possible case scenario. Not just, hey, it worked out. We screwed up. We owe you an apology. Yeah, that really was beautiful stuff. I sent a request. I think I'm not tech smart at all. I'm sorry. You know what, Matthew? Send another one. I'm not very good either. It could have been my fault. But when I hang up from here, I'm going to go and look to see if, to see if you're there. The way I see it is all religions came from somewhere. Nobody knows for sure, but something inspired all of them. Boy, I'm so bad with a mouse. It's incredible. Something inspired all of them. I don't deny God or a God. I just don't want to be wrong and worship the wrong one. Chuck, I'll tell you what. It's I honestly understand that. I really, really do. That's something that makes a lot of sense to me, believe it or not. I spent a ludicrous amount of time reading everything. For real, from the Qurans and the Bible to the Bhagavad Gita, and just if I could find a religious book, I read it. And I had plenty of time on my hands. And one of the only things that they couldn't say no to me on was religious stuff. It was very easy. If you're in the shoe and you say, I want a book on, and just spit out any religion, they had to get it to you, and they had to get it to you within 24 hours. So I read all of them, and then came up with the one that worked for me and made sense to me. Right? Really researched it. And one of them just screamed, really was obvious to me. Now, again, I don't shove it down anyone's throat, but I would recommend doing a little research. I think it's a pretty good deal.
Yeah, I would too. That's, and it's a tough subject to try to tackle too. Because we're always going to have a different opinion. Even amongst the same religion, you're going to have different opinions.
No question. Absolutely no question. People, and here's the sad thing. The sad thing is that, and one of the reasons, I've had people reach out and say, you believe a lot in God, and why didn't you sort of work that into the equation? And it has a lot to do with what Mark is saying. More wars have been fought over my God's better than your God, right? It has killed really more people than anything, right? I don't want to ever see this devolve into that. And if you happen to believe something really different than I do, doesn't mean I don't want you sober. So everybody deserves that.
I would say that.
The other half says, what is the shoe in prison? That would be the segregated housing unit. SHU.
Yeah.
And it's the hole. It's where it's time out for bad people.
Yep.
It really is.
But
Linda approved Matthew in Facebook group. You can relax. Linda's great. Well done. Well done. See that? You're already there.
Yeah.
See, can't trust me to do it.
But on the religious thing, guys, we're not going to ever be able to share our religious opinions if we just go out here and just start blasting it there. People are going to turn off. That's what we're talking about,
Yeah.
So, us not trying to focus on that as far as that being the center of what we do. Make no mistake, in my life, and I believe in Tommy's life, that's there in the center. We're just not blasting it out there like that. We lean on that, just like we lean on you guys. I know I do, but I don't know how Tommy feels about that, but that's how I look at it.
No, I like it. Schrodinger Squirrel says everyone's experience with the divine is personal. I agree with you 100%. I really do. Now, I would also be remiss if I didn't say this. There are people on this boat who very much wanted to hear what my opinions were on that. And I have shared them with anybody that has asked. I just will never do it here. So if you're ever wondering, shoot me an email. I'd be more than happy to talk to you about it. I'm just not going to do it here. I just don't think this is the right forum. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Linda looks after Tommy. She does. Linda's the first call on my list, and it's keeping me sober. So
that's right.
Time out. That's exactly what I was about to say, says Tommy Bird. It really is, right? It's like they actually handcuff you, right? Wherever you are in the establishment, which always used to make me laugh, right? You know what I mean? Like I'm in prison, so you're going to handcuff me to take me to a different room, but they do that. They handcuff you and walk you to a different place with even less, right, that you can access. No more TV. No more anything fun. You just get stuck in there. But spent a lot of time there. Spent an awful lot of time there.
That sucks. That would just be, it's almost like torture. A day or two is one thing, but more than that, a little bit more.
My longest run was 27 months, which was a pretty good run. She is the Linda, Joanne. The Linda I've been talking about for a very, very long time. So to recap, hold on. I had a great conversation about religion with Tommy. Yeah, see that? That happens. So to recap, the two things that are going to kill you the most are allowing anybody toxic near you. You understand? Allowing anybody toxic to get anywhere near you is going to threaten your sobriety. But guess what? You have permission to be the center of your universe. You have permission to be self-centered. You have permission to be whatever you got to be so that you focus on your sobriety, because without it, you're not anything. Nothing, right? You can't, there's no God, there's no family, there's no nothing. Because when you're in the life, that's all you have is the life. Johnny Law says, I used to have a dream in jail, vivid ones, where I was free walking around. Sometimes I still think I could be there and this is all just a dream. You're not the first person I've heard say that. I almost never dreamed about the street when I was in there, which is really odd, but I very rarely dreamt about. But one of the things that was crazy is since getting out, I have dreams where I'm in. And it's always like bizarre because there's a guard coming to do count and I'm at a restaurant. There's always something that's just really out of place. But it's always one of those situations where when I wake up, I'm like, oh, thank God. Oh, thank God. Because I'm always doing something that, is wrong. It's going to keep me there or land me there. It's awful.
Yeah.
So once again, nothing toxic. You have permission to focus on you. It is the most important thing you are going to do until it is rock solid. And then you can focus on all of the things that are really, really important. Right? Yeah. For those, yeah, she's Linda the helper. And then the other one is this, right? And I don't care if you're into it. I don't care if you're 16 days sober or if you're 2 months sober or you're 5 months sober. Have a plan. Have a plan, right? What's going to happen if I start feeling like I'm getting squirrely or if I start feeling angry? Don't allow an emotion hang out. How do we make sure emotions don't drive us back? We say them out loud, right? Hey, I'm really angry. Here's why. When you're done describing it, and go ahead and describe it in amazing detail if you need to, but when you are done letting it all fly, you will be astounded at how it loses all of its power, right? It loses all of its power. When you come out and you say, this is what's bothering me, you know what? This is such an awesome and uplifting chat. The very worst you can do is read, is it perhaps a bad joke? Yeah. The chat is what keeps people coming back. Make no mistake. Mark and I are background noise. And that's a good thing. It really is, because this is the best of, hello, everyone who said hi. I don't want to leave you hanging. See that? It's tough, isn't it? Because everybody here is going to say hi to you. Everyone here is going to welcome you. This works because everybody here knows where you've been. This works because everybody here has failed trying to get sober before, and they don't want to see anybody else fail, right? And the last thing I will say, and I bring this up often because every day we get new people, right? In fact, we're averaging right now 11. Over the last 45 days, we've been averaging about 11 people a day. So I got to keep saying this. There is a very, very famous expression, right? You can't pick your family. You can. Don't let them BS you. You can absolutely pick your family. I've got brothers that did not come from my mom who are absolutely brothers of mine. And go ahead and build you a recovery family. Build you a group of people that you can count on. And you know something astounding? My family's awesome. My family is absolutely awesome. Right? My birth family, the greatest people you could ever want to know. However, the vast majority of them cannot understand addiction, right? I can call Johnny. That's why he's on my list. But the majority of them can't understand. It doesn't make them bad people. It just makes them not on my list. Brandon, thank you so much. He says, please like and comment after the show. It does push the boat out a little farther. Trish Killian, I don't think I said hi to you. Trish always says hi to me. Good to see you, Trish.
Daniel stopped in too. I hear at the end.
What's that?
Daniel stopped in also.
All right.
DJ. There you go, Terry.
Yeah.
What's up, Terry?
DJ Daddy-O, Mr. T. So we are going to be back tomorrow evening. Same squirrel time. Same squirrel channel. We will be doing the exact same thing. And we're going to be doing it 5 nights a week until everybody on the planet is sober. How do I get off the substance wheel when I'm on a substance? I want to get sober, and when I am sober, I feel like I don't have the imagination for reality. Matthew.
That's a long thing to talk
You need
about.
to send me an email.
Yeah.
Right? You can send me an email at sober, right? SOBER at myyahoo.com. Or you can do captaintommyscoville@gmail.com. You should be able to remember both of those. If you can't remember either of them, go into the Dropbox and you're going to see them. Send me an email, because this is a long conversation. And the reason we cap this at an hour, people, is because short form, medium form, long form, the algorithms treat them differently. And if we go too much past the 1 hour mark, we don't get a lot of help.
Yeah.
Right? Because they just assume that people don't want to see it. So we do want the help from our partners at the Big Red Button, and they have been helping.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. They push us out pretty
A
good.
lot of, very often lately, people say to me, hey, you guys just came up on my feed.
Yep.
Oh, boy, does
Yeah.
that make us happy.
That means we've hit that algorithm, and that means,
Boy,
means we're doing our job.
but look, so we're at the top of the hour, Matthew. I really do want to talk to you, because that is the question, isn't it? And I'd be more than happy to have a conversation with you about that. So reach out to me, please. All righty, tomorrow night we will be right here. I am Captain Tommy Scoville, and on the other side of the glass,
Captain Mark Wages.
and she showed up about halfway through, but she showed up. Look at that, little hunter. That's a squirrel in a basket. Good night, everybody. We love you.
Get that mouse.
She's so mad I wouldn't let her back out.